Balghis Badri, the director of the Regional Institute for Gender Diversity, Peace and Rights at Ahfad University for Women in Sudan.
So could you please tell us something about the background on the very fascinating and exciting events in Sudan during the last month?
Yes, the revolution in Sudan that started in December 18 and ended by July, let us say, or the formation of the government, actually is a process that started before that, since 2012 and 13. And that kind of demonstrations that started led to the formation of what is currently known as the Forces for Freedom and Change. And that Forces of Freedom and Change are the ones who led the revolution, and they are made up of 4 major blocks: the block of civil societies, the block of professionals, and the block of political parties, and the block of neighborhood committees. And so this kind of blocks started demonstrations on daily basis at neighborhood level, on twice a week, on the basis of coming to the center of Khartoum. And then they were just calling for the fall of the previous regime, and nothing of negotiations or reform, but a complete change. And then on the 6th of April, actually, there was a very big million demonstration in front of the headquarters of the military, and that was taken as a symbol that the military should side by the Sudanese people and should not shoot them. And we need their protection, and we need them to declare that they are with the demonstrators and change the regime. And so that continued from the 6th of April till the 11th of April. It was very known as a very big sit-in that took place both in the capital as well in the different capitals of the 18 states of Sudan and different other towns and villages. And so the sit-in was to press the military to take the side of the people. And so on the 11th, the military council decided that they are going to overthrow al-Bashir, and they are going to side with the Sudanese people. That happened, but the people they continued their sit-in and demonstrations. They said they don't want to change the military by another military. We would like to have a civil government. And after that, the international community actually interfered, especially the African Union, asking the military council that they are not going to recognize them as legitimate, and the Sudan seat is going to be freezed. And accordingly, they have to start negotiations with the Forces of Freedom and Change. And that negotiations started to happen after the 11th of April, when the military council declared. And so negotiations continued. And basically, the Forces of Freedom and Change themselves, they formed one united bloc of all these different blocks I mentioned, and they signed a declaration that they are looking for freedom, they are looking for peace, they are looking for democracy and justice and good governance in Sudan. And so these are their what they want to achieve. And accordingly, any kind of negotiations should only lead to the achievement of these things. And so negotiations continued and demonstrations continued, but it was after that rather peaceful demonstrations, and mainly it is within the sit-in area, which is something like 4 kilometers in length, and there was about 1 million on each day they were there, and sometimes more than that. And then there was a crackdown. Unfortunately, the military decided that they would not allow the sit-in to continue, and they thought maybe by this crackdown they are going to end. But what happened is that the crackdown was a very painful thing, and there was losses of lives and some cases even of rape, and there were also issues of burning all the tents and everything, and the paintings and everything to remind the people of the great sit-in. The sit-in and the demonstrations were supported by Sudanese at the diaspora, who supported also by demonstrations in their own countries, as well as by sending money and coming to support the demonstrators in Sudan. Then the negotiations actually started after being stopped between the forces of the FFC, Forces of Freedom and Change, and the Military Council, by the pressure of the African Union and the European Union and the countries of the Troika and the United Nations, and all these are putting pressure on the Military Council and the FFC to continue negotiations. And then the negotiations actually were achieved in August by signing what they call it a transitional constitutional declaration. And that constitutional declaration included major aspects of how to achieve democracy in Sudan. First, it emphasized that there should be a formation of 3 levels: presidential, presidential, transitional, or sovereignty council, and that should be made up of 11 persons, 5 military and 6 civilians, and there should be a civilian government, and there should be a transitional parliament. And all that should be done within 3 months, and also there should be a peace agreement achieved within the 3 months from the day of the signing of that declaration. And that declaration actually was signed in front of the head of the African Union and several prime ministers. The most important is the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, as well as the Prime Minister of Egypt and other members. And so after that, the forces in that declaration, there should be a peace agreement with all those military forces that were against the previous government, generally called the rebel movements, and armed rebel movements. There should be this peace agreement, as well as, besides that, we are going to have the formation of the government, the executive body, and then after that, as I said, the parliament, and then from there on, the FFC was given the responsibility to nominate members.
Do you think that this could be a role model?
Yes, I think it could be a very good role model of how peaceful, first peaceful, second very well organized, third that all those who were against the regime came and formed a united bloc. They were not just scattered, they are having a united bloc. And the third thing is that they organized for the demonstrations as a collectivity, as well as they have got their, let us say, what is it that they would like to achieve, the goals. The goals are agreed upon, and all of them signed upon these goals. So the model will be in how to be organized, how to be united, how to be peaceful, and how is it that the international community should support in peaceful ways, not to be engaged in any military thing. The model also of how the diaspora should support in many different ways. And
one aspect, one can see a lot of young people of all gender, men and women. Do you consider the whole movement as a youth revolution?
Yes, we could say that it is a youth, although all contributed in it, but it is, yes, a youth of both gender, and we would like to salute the Sudanese women in that, and the Sudanese families who broke the kind of taboo or the previous traditional gender discourse of that women should not be on the forefront, or it was And when we say that it was peaceful in the sense not only they didn't take arms, but actually also by being peaceful to each other. Males and females, there was no harassment, there was protection, and they were acting in a very united and with solidarity. So this kind of solidarity is important. So this is another model also we could speak about, this women coming forth. And well, now what we have now currently is that the Presidential Council was formed, or what it is called the Sovereignty Council, with 2 males and 4 males, all civilians, and 5 from the military. And then also the executive body is formed, and we have got 4 ministers. It is a bit less than our expectation.